morale amongst the officers seems to be, not that it was real bad before, but I think it's increasing because of certain little changes made, like one of the things, Jason and I have talked about it, the knit ski caps for the winter. That has such a positive impact. As stupid as it sounds, it makes a difference. The guys that are out there at 3 a.m. standing at a crime scene with no knit cap on, for them to say, gee, somebody actually cares about me. They ordered these things so we can be comfortable when we're out here. So there's a lot of things that have gone on that people don't realize because it's not the headlines in the paper. And the headlines in the paper oftentimes are incorrect. But has it been, I don't know, coming from the state police, has it been a big cultural change for you to see the difference in the two agencies, or are they still same type of problems, same type of things going on?
So, I think the biggest difference is not the actual agencies themselves. So police work is police work, I like to say, no matter where you police. However, this is a city that is really involved in the work of the police department, whereas in the state police, there is not that dynamic, if you will. We have folks who really, really want not only the agency to succeed, but the city to succeed. And they want to let you know, and that's important. And you mentioned some of the work we've been doing, and you mentioned an example about the ski caps. That is a result of having a team in place that listens.
Right.
And listens to
Important
what the
to
officers
listen.
want. So, we do not make decisions top down. We listen to what the officers are asking for. If it's a common sense thing, then we'll make it happen. The officers from, I don't care if you're a new recruit right out of the academy or if you have 30 years, your voice means something to us
That's
as
really
a team.
important.
And we have set up a communication structure where, a captain, a lieutenant, a sergeant, or an officer can come right upstairs and talk to us and say, listen, the officers really would like ski caps. They would like to have hats in the winter. You know what? If that makes sense, we'll make it happen.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things, I'm friends with a few officers, and that's one of the things that most of them have been surprised by, that they can walk up to either you or Ralph or David, knock on your door and say, hey, Chief, can I talk to you for a minute? And you actually listen. Not that others in the past haven't. I still think the world of Chief Ravella in the way he ran things, but you're two totally different people.
So, not only do we listen to the officers, we listen to the community.
Right.
We talked about some of the initiatives. I made that community response unit because folks in the community wanted quality of life issues to be addressed. So we created a unit that dealt with quality of life issues.
Right.
We called it the community response unit because they respond to the community. You talked about the good and the bad. There's people who there'll be detractors out there. I value the good and the bad. I value information that's not supportive because it can help us adjust if we need to, and we also value the good.
Well, some days I wonder why you answer the phone when I come up on your caller ID.
Yeah, no, I understand. But it's important to have all of the information that you can so that
Right.
you can make an informed decision on whatever issue you try to address.
Right. And I have to, as I said, being involved with what's going on, being a part of a subjective board as a community person, which two of us as resident or civilian sit on, I think these are really critical things because, too many times you're out in the community and they said, why can't we get more Hoffer resident? Why can't we get more people? They're discriminating and they're discriminated. But the point is that, people say a lot of stuff, but unless somebody can educate them on the process, because when you look at some of these applicants, you really can't put these applicants in the department. And the subjective board is no name or color of a person. It's a he or a she. So therefore there's no way to discriminate. So it's just a matter of looking at the application and see is this person qualified to be a part of this police
I
department.
think something you mentioned at Comstat that I think you're pretty proud of is the demographics of the next class coming in is, I think you said 80% minority?
80%, just under 80%, 78% minority. I actually brought the stats with me just to be right on point. 45% Hispanic, 33% African American. 80% minority for any law enforcement class, it's unheard of.
Yeah.
It's unheard of.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that, and I've been around for 22 years. He's been around longer. I think it's safe to say we've never seen something like that.
Right.
Well, how did you accomplish that? just by
Great
going out
recruiting.
recruiting?
We have a great recruiting effort led by our new lieutenant in our recruiting unit. Folks really care, but it is also a reflection of the good work that the officers do every day. You know,
Just quick, the chief spoke to restructuring as one of the things that he did when he first came. This is the first full recruitment of the career development unit, which we developed under the restructuring plan of Chief Rosado. So we now have a Lieutenant Marisol Rodriguez-Velez, who I'm sure you see on 93.7, and she goes out and is really involved. She now has the Police Explorers, the Police Cadets, the Police Athletic League, and recruitment under one umbrella. So we brought all of our efforts to bring in new, young people that are invested in the city under one lieutenant and under one umbrella. She has a military past. The military has done a great job of recruiting, especially the millennial generation. So we did that on purpose. And this 78% minority class that's going to enter into the academy in March is the first of that under that program. So it's important to show that some of these efforts are actually working.
Well, and that's, it's important to show that they're working, because I know a couple years ago at budget time, the council was trying to cut the cadet program out and cut the PAL program and the Explorer program. Those are really your minority recruitment programs for the future, where you're getting them when they're young, they're still impressionable, you can kind of mold them so they don't get into trouble with drugs or violence in the community. So those are important programs that are starting to pay huge dividends.
and you know, speaking of the council as well as the mayor's office, and I've been here a little over a year now. They have been nothing but supportive. Nothing but supportive.
Come on, tell the
They
truth.
have. They've given us the resources that we need. We've recruited a number of classes. As you know, we put 2 through the academy last year. We have 2 in the academy now, with 1 scheduled to graduate in a couple weeks. City council, mayor's office, the mayor's administration, his chief of staff, they've all been wonderful with the resources that we need. The biggest hurdle we have is trying to attract qualified candidates. That's the biggest hurdle that we have.
Right.
But the support is there.
Yeah.
The support is there.
So the other thing is really, really, really important, and I know for years we've kind of just overlooked it, is to, have a police department that reflects your community. And, I'm all about, are you qualified to do the job? Really? I don't care what color you may look or whatever. Are you qualified? But to be intentional and making sure that we have a department that reflects us all that lives here, I think that's really important, and that says a lot. And it's really for you as a leader to make sure that that continues. Because if we can do that, then, we will have less issue about this racial divide and stuff like that. Let's bring them all in. We do have a diverse community, of all different race, creed, whatever. Let's bring them all in so we can say, yeah, this is what our city looks like.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
80% minority. That's unheard of. I mean, that's something to be celebrated.
And that's a number you should be proud of.
That's-
People should be talking about that,
That's a
saying,
number.
geez, things are going in the right direction.
Right, right.
But the other issue is retention.
Yeah, that's another big
You've got to
issue.
keep the officers you have. And I know
How do you do
it's
that?
not a job where you retire after 50 years because you're so burned out or worn out. But one of the big problems we've had over the last few years is retirements, because we were hiring in big numbers and guys were hitting the 20 years and out. So I know there's been some changes in the contract, but it's not supposed to be a big issue for another 4 or 5 years?
So
as
it's
far as retirements?
plateaued. It's plateaued. The last big retirement class that we had was last summer, correct? June of last year. So there's still a trickle of employees who retire or resign for whatever reason, but that number has flattened out. Now the game plan is to kind of catch up. So we have a class going in after the graduation on February 22nd. We have another class who's going in March, and we hope to recruit another class for the summer as well.
But I
So
think
we're
this-
on track.
I think the state police are headed toward that same problem now, where they're gonna have big numbers retiring.
Yeah, they have a number of folks who can go before 2022, and they expect a large drop off in numbers.
So the big challenge is going to be, for you, Chief, how are we going to retain these guys that we have? What is there that we can do as a city, as a department, to make sure that these guys that are coming on are not just coming on for maybe 5 years or 10 years or whatever and then disappear, gone. We train them and they're gone to somebody else. how are we gonna make sure that these guys are feeling great about wanting to be in the city? Is there some plan that we're gonna work on to make sure?
Absolutely. There's a multi-step plan. First and foremost, you have to value your employees and let them know that, they're doing a great job. And, I have one specific example of that I wanted to talk about today. So there's an officer out there. So, body worn cameras. Let me just backtrack for a second. I like to say this is a good thing because it will shine the light on what our officers do. And there's a million stories out there of examples of Hartford police officers doing a great job each day. Men and women doing a great job that go unheard of, right? You only hear when people are upset about something. So about 3 weeks ago, Officer Lane Bradford responded to an unfortunate situation where an elderly woman passed away. The elderly woman's daughter was there at the scene, and she was upset, rightfully so. The Officer Bradford showed up, was very compassionate. This woman had a 3-year-old son who happened to have a birthday on that day. He went out of his way to go get the little boy a gift and bring it back to the boy so that he could have something to smile about.
Yeah,
We got a letter from this woman who lost her mom, and she said, I want to make sure I want to make sure I make it a point to let you know of the outstanding work that Officer Bradford did. These stories go unheard of, right?
Right?
I talked to you yesterday, and actually I want to, again, thank you for your responsiveness, because whether I call on a Saturday or Sunday, I still get a response. And we talked yesterday about one of your lieutenants who was on the way home at 6 in the morning from a overnight private